Well, I'm preaching to the choir, but a piece of my soul will every time play my guitar. You can't help the calls you get. Yeah, when I was dealing from the bottom of the dead. From the bottom of the dead. I'm now saying I had it and it wasn't you. It sure is the grass is green. The whole world is blue. No, I'm just another lost soul in a beautiful world where the people so damn cold home. The calls you get, all you can do is just your best. Just to say, it's the day my mama left. Well, life deals from the bottom of the dead. From the bottom of the dead. Little boy, gonna cry, but I can't say goodbye. Just keep on dancing, lonely when I dream, yeah, dream. Yeah, I want a bad girl. Honey, I'm not ashamed. March on, march on, march on. Hey, march on. You haven't soldiered on.
Today's episode is sponsored in part by Grand Forks Best Source. They're a cutting-edge local media broadcasting studio with captivating shows, on-location event coverage, and unparalleled advertising opportunities. Grand Forks Best Source has become a haven for podcasters like me seeking to bring their visions alive. If you're a podcaster looking for studio or platform, or a local business seeking to advertise, go ahead and email Paul at local@gfbestsource.com. You can call him at 701-740-9337, or you can go to their website that's listed on your screen there, gfbestsource.com. Tell them Mama T sent you.
March on, march on, march on. Hey, march on.
everybody to The Buzz with Mama T. Thank you for listening to our little ad there. And today we've got well, not in the studio, but you know what. Oh, just kidding. I actually am. We do have a pre-recorded interview today. Welcome to season 2, episode 2 of The Buzz with yours truly, Mama T. One of our guests was not able to make it on this day, so we pre-recorded the interview. This is our big invasion of Renegade Radio because both my guests today happen to be my co-hosts on Renegade Radio. They are the co-founders of Renegade Radio, and the first, like I said, the first interview is pre-recorded. But before that, we're going to go ahead and give you a brief message from Grand Forks Best Source. I think. Today's episode is sponsored in part by Grand Forks Best Source. They're a cutting-edge local media broadcasting studio with captivating shows, on-location event coverage, and unparalleled advertising opportunities. Grand Forks Best Source has become a haven for podcasters like me seeking to bring their visions alive. If you're a podcaster looking for studio or platform, or a local business seeking to advertise, go ahead and email Paul at local@gfbestsource.com. You can call him at 701-740-9337, or you can go to their website that's listed on your screen there, gfbestsource.com. Tell them Mama T sent you. Everybody to The Buzz with Mama T. Thank you for listening to our little ad there. And today we've got well, not in the studio, but you know what I mean. We've got Frankie Slauson, the host with the most, who's not a ghost.
I'm the host with the most. I got that from Beetlejuice, because
I know.
Host with the most.
He's the host with the most. You're the host with the most, who's not a ghost.
That's right. That's right.
There we go. There we go. So, why don't you tell the audience, first of all, why you think you're on the show?
Could be for various amount of reasons, I would think. It could either be because I co-host Renegade Radio with you, or it could be because you just find me very cool, and you just thought, who is a cool person that you could have on the show?
All right, the real reason is the Buzz with Mama T is focused on local, regional, national, and international musicians and music personalities, including people who are DJs and MCs and producers and what have you. And now you get the answer I was looking for.
Yeah, I know. I do that all along.
Oh, you were just trying to be funny.
I was just trying to see if how long I could make it last. Is all. It's all right. I know the real reason why. We talked about that before, and it's because I did a little thing called some AI music, but I've also done some of the things that you talked about too. Because I used to DJ, I used to be a radio announcer, and I also was a master controller for Black Hills Fox TV in Rapid City. So if that doesn't count for anything, then I don't know what. And then of course the
exactly. Podcast. That's what I was trying to get out of you. There we go. Why don't you tell me about your family, where you grew up? What was your upbringing like? Were people into media or broadcasting or anything like that?
Well, I grew up pretty much north of Minnesota, northern Minnesota, a little town called Greenbush. I was born in Moorhead, but I was raised in Greenbush. And it's a long kind of a story as far as how I got from Moorhead to Greenbush. But as far as like my family and everything goes, I grew up, have mom and dad, and I was, adopted, but I still have the same mother and
shut up, you were? So your stepdad adopted you as your okay.
Yeah, because my real father was kind of a jerk, and he just kind of left my mom and me hanging when I was a baby, and it's just so much of a long story. Yeah. But as far as my family in Greenbush goes, I have my stepfather Larry, who I learned a lot about music from, because while he was never a musician or singer or anything like that, or a radio announcer, he always loved music, as far as like, having collections of records and tapes and, cassette tapes and CDs. And he got me into it because I was the only one in the family that really got into collecting, and I really liked what he was presenting. So he got me into that. Mom, Pam, she was different because of how she was raised. When it comes to collecting and whatever and hobbies and whatnot, she always found them exciting. But she was, her passions were more just helping take care of her family and raising my brother and my sister and myself, and just kind of had a normal childhood. I have a younger brother named Arthur, and I have a younger sister named Kayla. So I'm the oldest of the bunch and the best looking and the coolest of the bunch.
Oh, those poor things. No, I got to give you some crap. I obviously not as much as I do on the Monday night show, but so you mentioned your dad got you into music. Was
Yep.
he in collections and stuff? Was he into any other media? Like, was he into like movies and TV shows and like cult classics as we do? Because we all know what you do is the podcast we do together, Renegade Radio, is about pop culture.
That's right.
My question, I guess, is how did you get into that?
Yes, you were right about how I grew up. Like we were never like we never went to conventions. We never went to we never met any celebrities or whatever, things that people do now for fun. Or some people anyway do. But my love for pop culture kind of came from my father, because not only did he get me into music, but he also got me into collecting and stuff, and had a whole bunch of recorded VHS tapes. That's kind of how we kind of grew up. We had like the Three Stooges. We'd watch that tape. We'd had the Buddy Holly story, the Momma. First movie I ever knew as a kid that I got into was a movie called Walk Like a Man from
Oh,
1987.
Johnny Cash, right?
No.
No, what was it? Wait.
Howie Mandel and Christopher Lloyd. Walk Like a Man.
Yep.
Not
I'm
Walk
sorry, I
Alone.
was thinking of something else.
You're thinking Walk Alone.
Can we delete that part?
Yeah, no films here, right?
So what actually got you? I mean, like you love all this pop culture, the movies, the TV shows, the music itself, cassettes, 8-tracks, vinyl. I mean, what made you decide that? Well, lack of a better term, I'll use one that I've used before. What made you believe you had a face for radio?
Well, I tell you what, growing up once again with the love for music, my dad and I listened to radio. That was also our thing, and we listened to those local affiliates because that's just kind of what was our entertainment. But the biggest station that we always loved to listen to was Cool 100.3, and that was KSNR. And that was, before the days of Cat Country and before they messed it up and turned it to Cat Country, they was an oldie station for the longest time. It was KSNR. It was 100.3 FM. We listened to Zippo in the morning. We listened to all the oldies and growing up, I like when I started collecting music. That's when my horizons kind of changed as far as like what I liked and whatnot. But when we would listen to radio, we'd always listen to the same old hit songs, but it'd be like stuff from the 50s, the 60s, yeah. And growing up, I guess I wasn't really sick of that at that time, because I was just, it was just my dad was really the one in control of the music all the time, and I barely ever really touched his stereo or his equipment.
Would that be like touching the thermostat?
Yeah, that'd actually be the thermostat joke there, because I know that people get all kind of they talk about the thermostat. So yeah, you have a good point about that. That's kind of what that would be. But see, my dad had a nice stereo system. like the what you
The
would see. Like,
EQ with all the little buttons that you always wanted to
yeah,
play
yeah,
with.
yeah.
Yeah.
But he'd also have like the Velcro door, kind of, or the door that's like it's like a plastic door, but then it's like Velcro to shut, open and shut, but that covering the stereo because he had a couple stereos,
Oh
and the
yeah,
one
no,
that
no, no, no. We're from two different generations. Doorways and back in my day are beaded.
I okay, well, most of the people that have stereo systems, and even if they still have them now, they used to make them so nice where you would get as fancy as you could, and some would come with like a nice door, like a I don't know, it's not even like a French door, it's like a just like a
Oh, I know
Velcro
what you're talking
door,
about, the glass
but
doors you have to push on to let the magnets release, and you open
yeah,
them up, and you got the
yeah,
whole
it
everything.
it just made it more fancier, and so
Yeah,
it
and the
had like the
turntable on top, and
yeah,
the little shelf underneath for
had the
your.
dual cassette deck, and
Oh yeah,
like you said, all the buttons and whatnot. And see, I love that. I love playing. I mean, while as I got older, I started playing around with it. But as a little kid, growing up, I always just never messed with his stuff because I just,
you didn't want to get your hand slapped.
yeah, that's right. But
Because
Dad, I always had a love
parents,
for music.
believe it or not, parents were actually allowed to do that back when we were kids.
Yeah, beyond more than their control, I tell you.
So, what do you think the biggest challenge uh, the young people, as far as getting the young people into media and broadcasting is?
Well, because everybody wants to make money, and nowadays they look at a radio announcer as a poor person, you know, because that's what all I've been told is like, oh, you make no money in this industry. Well, why not? You
You
should. It's
do it for
media.
fun. Well, yeah. I mean, the only
Well, I
radio,
mean, if you're,
all the radio announcers I know have second jobs.
but back in the day, I don't think they needed second jobs. That's the problem with it today because all the stations that we know and love, or did know and love, are either gone or they're all automated or automated most of the time when they're not being used. And back in the day, hell, even 20 years ago, they were, I mean, what? I could go to the college at Northland and do a live show on a Friday night, and the college had no problem letting the students be in this, do as long as they were doing what they needed to do in the station, at least for that part. We could be in there up until like 12 midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, no problem. To do a live show rather than do a pre-record. But
Right.
now it's like they won't even let anybody do that no more. They're all like worried about security and stuff. And honestly, I'm not going down to like what I was if I was going to do it again. I'm not going down there to make terroristic threats and stuff and be a nuisance or whatever at the school. I'm there for a purpose to do my job as a volunteer or whatever and present a good show. And it's just everything's changed. And I think nowadays, because you look at people now, there's so many people out there that broadcast from their home that never had the training that I had, or
You're
never had
like
the training like Bob had, or
actually answering my
you know.
next question.
Okay,
I was going to ask you how you think. Um, so the last question I asked you, how do you think that all these different online platforms have affected the actual brick and mortar live human being call-in shows and requests and all of that?
I think the real thing about that is that you look at what people are doing now, and the one thing about it is that I like how a lot of people have taken their own spin on how they do their own media and how they share it with people, how they're able to do it. But I just feel like without that training, without that proper training that you should have, like I mean, now you can just learn it from just watching other people, but I feel like you should still learn
YouTube
it from a
videos.
professional. Well, yeah, but I feel like you should still have that professional hands-on experience.
Yeah, the training,
Because,
like actually go to college.
well, it's not even about college. I'm talking like just if you know somebody that's a DJ or announcer that's even willing to spend some time to teach you to learn, even something like that would be fine. It's not just about doing it in school anymore. I'm
Yeah,
just saying to learn it from a professional.
Right. Hang out in a studio one day. See what you think. Give it a shot for a few minutes.
Yes.
Give it a shot for a few minutes. Agree to an interview or a co-host spot, and see what you think of it. Because there's so many jobs now. There's like all these online platforms. They're getting paid, and I think they're getting paid more than the brick and mortar people.
Absolutely. You're right. You are definitely right. And they're making way too much money, and they're not showing the love. They're forgetting about the love of being a broadcaster. Like when we
The
do
love
stuff,
of the actual live
yeah,
music, the live people.
or
Like,
whatever they're doing, whatever format they're doing. Like I'll give you an example. For how I've changed as a person when it comes to like just doing our podcast. I don't, okay, our podcast, is starting to get noticed a little bit, and I'm happy about that
oh,
because
you mean Renegade Radio that plays every
yeah,
Monday night?
yeah, yes, and I wasn't trying to go in for like
Shameless plug. Sorry. Go ahead.
free plug or whatever.
I'm
I'm
plug.
just trying
Hey, I'm
to.
plugging. I'm plugging Renegade Radio on this one in a few minutes. So go
Okay,
ahead.
well that's perfect then. What I'm saying is that back in the day when I first started doing radio, my biggest goal was I want to be famous, I want to make money, I want to be whatever, and
How'd
that's
that
still
work
my
out for you,
goal,
Sean?
but it's just that I don't have that big of an ego where it's like I've interviewed a lot of people, but when we do stuff on Renegade Radio, I'm so happy that at least people are starting to know about it. Thanks to people sharing the videos and watch it when we're live. For Grand Forks Best Source, for just believing enough in what we're doing because we're all a team. And that's what I believe why now they're allowing you to have your show on there because they know that we got some talented people around
So
here.
for everybody who is just listening to the podcast on a platform rather than watching a live version or a replay, uh, Renegade Radio that we were talking about airs on Sundays at 7 p.m. on Grand Forks Best Source. No,
That's a
that's not live.
Saturday.
That's not the live version. That is the replay. And then you'll get at 7 p.m. on Tuesdays, you will get a replay of the Buzz with Mama T from the previous Sunday. So I do my show, then Frankie does his show, and that night, oh my God, here we go again. Oh, okay. I need some fact checkers. Unfortunately, I have fact checkers, and Renegade Radio is Saturdays at 7 p.m. on Good.
Yeah, I was going to say you said Sundays. I was just like, oh, no, that's
I
not
think.
true.
Thanks
That's not
for the
true.
fact checking. See, isn't Jeremy a great producer?
Oh, of course he
I mean,
is.
I
Of
just
course
can't
he
give him
is.
enough props. So let's get to our next question.
Okay.
What are your favorite pastimes and hobbies besides collecting music and watching movies?
Wow. Well, I mean, I like being on the computer because I'm a computer nerd. I don't know how to put computers together, but I know how to do software and that type of stuff. Because growing up, I would help my family when we got our first. You remember the old IBM computers back in the day? Oh yeah, in
I
1998.
think the generation previous to us understands the whole concept of it. If you or me would come over, the VCR would not still be flashing 12 o'clock.
But to answer your question about the other hobbies, I mean, I like playing video games. I used to be a big PlayStation guy. I grew from that and became an Xbox guy. I know that's probably sacrilegious in the video game world, but hey, you know what? I was curious for the longest time, and I was able to purchase one of the new Xboxes when they came out, or a couple of years after the pandemic, and it just worked out. I liked it, and so I've had an Xbox ever since, and you know.
So,
I like all types of technical stuff, so that's why.
so
That's
did you ever go like the last little piggy and go wee, or just Xbox?
oh, I never owned a Wii. Never owned a Wii. I
They're
actually.
like this. Oh, I should.
Oh yeah, I know what they are. I know what they are. I mean, I played them, and I played the Wii U, and I've also done the Switch and everything, but I've never owned that. I'm not really a big Nintendo guy. I mean, I like Mario Brothers and stuff, but like, you know, I don't know. I like games with good graphics because that's just the type of person I am. I'm not a
So,
perfectionist by any means, but sometimes little things bother me that should be where they should.
Continuity issues, pretty much.
Kind of, kind of like the whole reverse thing. I don't like that. Yeah.
So, media, broadcasting, music, all that. It's really hard to stay in that industry, and there's so many reasons why. Can you tell me about a time that you were ready to give up on podcasts or being in any kind of media job, and how you are back now?
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I can answer that. I can give you a really good answer for that. In 2021, I finally realized that at my days at Pioneer 9.1 are just not what they were anymore, and I don't think they ever were going to get any better. I was doing like I used to do shows for them like late at night or even earlier in the day where people would listen, and even late at night on the weekends when people would listen. Well, the way they do things now, because of the whole, so and so takeover and whatever of how they do things now and how they make it sound more like we're at an old folks home than new age radio or whatever.
So you were like stuck on a plateau, or you were plateaued out, or you were stuck in a rut.
Well, because the rut was that the person who was in charge of the station manager didn't have any faith in me. He hasn't had faith in me for a long time. The only reason why, and I know this for probably a fact anyway, I'm going to say it's a fact because it's how I always felt. He's one of those guys that he'll be nice to you, when he sees you or whatever, but he really don't care about you. Because if he really cared about me, I would have had as much attention as he gave Bob, if not more. For when Bob did his shows and all the appreciation and milking of Bob that he did. He made Bob look like a star, but it was because of Bob being a star that was why he gave him the star's treatment.
Yeah, I was hoping you were going to. I was trying not to interrupt you and yell at you. I was hoping that was the point that you're getting to.
That's why I quit, though. That's why I quit. I gave up on Pioneer because I just felt like they don't appreciate who I am and what I really could actually bring and do for that station. I could make that station be great again. We'll just say, not to be like Donald Trump or whatever. But I'm just saying, though. I mean, what we're doing now for Renegade Radio, I mean, because of all the failures that I've had in life, and I don't look at Renegade Radio as a failure. I look at Renegade Radio as like a new platform of a podcast, because how many people around this area do you know that are doing podcasts where they're doing the way that we're doing it, but then bring the twist of the celebrity guests? There's not many people doing that. And that's why
I know we're getting. I haven't gotten the message yet, but I know we're getting close to a commercial break.
Sure.
Stay tuned after our little Renegade Radio thing here that we're gonna do for our little ad break. And come back and listen to Frankie Sauce and tell you how he got back in his groove.
You don't get this stuff from Howard Stern Show. You don't get this stuff from anything but Renegade Radio.
Okay, we're back. I just love. I kind of love doing it this way. This is actually pretty cool.
Well,
why don't
I don't touch any buttons at all.
Thanks for coming back, everybody. What got you going again? What was that kick up the butt that made you say, you know what, they were wrong. I know what I'm doing.
Well, I mean, it took a few years, for me to finally get that motivation back, or get that creative juices flowing. I tell you, it was more or less last year, or was it last year? Yeah, it was probably last year in June when I got to, when I came down for Little Bobby's, first annual Women Blues Festival, but I didn't stay because my folks didn't want to stay. I wanted to stay, but they didn't want to stay, and I was living in Greenbush at the time. So interviewing Larry Wiggin, who I've known for a while,
Larry's awesome. I love him.
from Crow, and just doing that one-on-one interview and how nice he was to me and how he remembered me from before, because I met him back in 2016 when they came to Deadwood, South Dakota for their concerts for Deadwood Jam, and it was a great opportunity to, because my dad taught me, learned me about Crow and some of the Minnesota artists and stuff from back in the day. So I never thought I'd ever be friends with anybody from that band, but I'm friends with him, and I'm friends with David Wagner as well. And maybe eventually, once things get better, I think we'll probably try to get both of them on, maybe here before the end of the year, to do like a Crow kind of like our Crow reunion show. Yeah, with the two, with him and Larry, and maybe some of the band members if they're willing to all show up. But anyway, it was doing that interview that I realized that, you know what, I still got it. I still got something. What I have, I don't know yet, but I have something. Screaming Sam is the guy. When I asked him to be my co-host for Renegade Radio, before I even knew it was going to be Renegade Radio, and he said yes. And once I knew that I got his okay for it, then we started rolling, and that's when I decided, you know what, let's just see what happens. And didn't know it was going to be a success story. I mean, we're not done by any means necessary, but we're just getting the ball rolling, and the more people that tune in and see what we're all about will be amazed by what they see, because there ain't nobody else
They're
doing
gonna
what
have
we're
so
doing.
much fun. There ain't no show out there like us.
That's right.
Which makes me think about, I know we only have like less than 10 minutes left, and
Okay.
as much as I love your long wordy answers because they're very informative and they're good time fillers.
Sure.
I've got a few that I'm gonna fire at you, and we're gonna try and except the next question. The next question I want a good answer on, but
Okay.
I've just got a couple random fire ones that
Sure.
okay. First one. Who was your favorite guest to have on Renegade Radio, or favorite guests?
Oh, I'm going to say probably my favorite thus far probably be Dick Warlock, because of,
And who is
we
he
got
again?
Lance on there, and he's Lance's son, or Lance's father, Lance Warlock's father. He was Michael Myers in Halloween 2 from 1981, the original. And he's a horror icon and son double of Kurt Russell. So he was one of my favorites. And then I don't know. I mean, Sam Morrison, from the Sam Morrison band, and then probably Don Stroud, for sure.
I think from Renegade Radio, my favorites were probably Dua, definitely Kelly Baker. That was a good show.
Now you're talking for your show now. Or you're talking for this show. Yeah.
No,
not Renegade.
But from Renegade Radio, surprise, surprise, my favorite guests were the one that to me had a rough start, but it was my guest and it was also my boyfriend, and that show was just so moving. I went back and I watched it. We had interviewed Lady J.
Oh yeah.
And we had interviewed Little Bobby, and Little Bobby was sitting next to me, and he was talking to Lady J. And for anybody that doesn't know, she is the first radio personality that actually aired his music online. So they've had a very strong bond for many years, and she's emceed the Women of the Blues Festival every year. It's been here, so that was a really good episode. Like, you guys are gonna have to go back in the archives of Renegade Radio and find this video, because it'll bring tears to your eyes in laughter and in like the feels. That was a really good.
It was a good episode, regardless of some of the content that was in that episode. You know, I mean, it just we look back on that, and that was literally Bob's last time on the show. So, you know, I mean, maybe that's how it was supposed to happen. I don't know. You know, I mean, we can't predict those things. You know,
All
but
right. What's your favorite comfort food?
I like pizza.
Pizza. That was
Pizza's good.
very. That was a very. What do you like on your pizza?
I'm a Supreme guy because I believe if you have Supreme, that means you're a very interesting person. If you're just a plain cheese person, you're probably pretty boring in life.
Or just meat? Apparently
Well,
you
meat.
need way more protein, or you're just protein
That,
hungry. And
that's
a lot of
right.
girls out there, I feel like, that stick to the cheese for
Sure,
pizza.
that's right.
Next, what do you think people would be surprised to know about you?
Well, they probably would be surprised to know that I've actually interviewed almost 600 people or 600 different entertainers since 2006. That's something that I always let people know
So
because
do people know what your age is?
no, well, I mean, those that know me do.
March on, march on, march on. Hey, march on. We got the soldier on.
Welcome back to the Renegade Radio Takeover of the Buzz with yours truly, Mama T. Joining us now is Screaming Sam, the co-founder of Renegade Radio. How you doing tonight?
How are you, Mama T?
Oh, I think we messaged a little bit earlier, so I think you know how I'm doing way more than the audience does right now.
I'll tell you what, that interview I just watched of you and Sean, or Frankie, whatever you want to call him, that was a great interview. That was a fantastic interview. I mean, he is a sharp guy. He does, I mean, not good looking. He's sharp. I mean,
He's got the face for radio.
just kidding, Sean.
I mean,
Very interesting to listen to. He really is. He's very interesting to listen to. I mean, the people he interviewed and the ideas that come in his kid's head, and he's a great guy. That's why, he interviewed me a few times, and when he asked me to be on his show because he had a vision for this show, I said yeah right away. Because I was getting my show together, Screaming Sam show. I wanted to put that show together, and we're in the middle of doing stuff about it. But I'll be honest with you, I'm happy with Renegade Radio. I'm happy for what we have. I think we have all good people on there, and it's just a great deal, man. I think Frankie's a great guy.
I mean, me too. I mean, okay, so you literally, and I had a list of questions I've been preparing. Screaming Sam, so you're a founding member of Renegade Radio. How did you decide to become a part of it? And you kind of already answered that question, but what made you look at this guy and the stuff he's done and decide, you know what, I do want my name attached to that?
Our conversation we had about it. And it wasn't even like, let me think about it. I'll call you back. You know what I mean? I love doing this. I mean, I have my own internet TV show, my own internet radio show. I'm used to being the head guy, but it's nice to sit back sometimes and let someone else have the head guy's job. And, it's a tough job. I mean, I heard you guys talking before. He went to school for years and years for that. And, you get these kids coming on and making money. Never done this before. I never went to school, but I've been doing this for a long, long time. You know what I mean? And I love doing this. I love doing this. I mean, I'll be honest with you, and you're going to be like thinking, I'm nervous doing this right now. One-on-one deal. You know what I'm saying?
I always am.
But when Sean started, it was just me, him, and I was a little nervous before we got the crew on there. And I think you're 100% right about Lil Bobby, but one of the best guests we had on the thing. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't know Bobby personally, but through you and through him being on the show and talking, texted a few times and whatever on Facebook, and I was saddened by his death. I really, really was. I mean,
honestly, that episode right there, before Bobby even passed away, it was hard for me to watch because at the beginning I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to get into that. I just hadn't watched the episode for a long time. And then I was scrolling through YouTube and came across the episode again and remembered that Lady J was on there, and I remembered how Bobby was on that episode and how he interacted with her, and like he felt so much.
Yes.
And you could see it, you could feel it yourself. Like when Bobby was happy and laughed, you wanted to laugh. When he was sad and feeling shit, you wanted to feel it too. Oh, I just cussed on the show. I don't cuss.
That's
on.
fine. You're talking to me, Mama T.
I forgot which show I was on for a second. Sorry, I thought it was tomorrow night's show. All right, let's get my head together a little bit, and why don't you tell me where you're from and tell me about your family and how you got into the whole media deal. Actually, I want to hear about the stuff you did before that first, because that's really.
I grew up in Pittsburgh, Mount Washington, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I drove tow trucks and did body work like almost my whole life, you know what I mean? And I'll tell you how it all started with the Screaming Sam. My family, they really don't support me with the Screaming Sam thing. I mean, because they didn't like the comedy thing. They don't like how rotten I was on stage. And it wasn't me. I'm doing my tribute act. Right. But I did add to it, you know what I'm saying? And like my mom would tell me, get a real job or something like that. I mean, I owned companies. I owned a tow truck business. I had John Lutz Towing. I had John Lutz Auto Body. I had John Lutz Auto Sales. I owned a mechanic shop. I had a pizza shop. I own a bar right now. I have for 30 years. I owned a restaurant. I mean, I had like 10 businesses that I ran, and she tells me to get a real job because I'm doing this
money, and then you do something for fun on the side.
Yeah, right? It started out that way. So back in 1998, I had long hair, beard, and we were going to Florida, and I shaved because it was going to be hot down in Florida. And when we walked into Disney, they were selling hats. And I says, I never had a braid before. I'm going to put the braid on. And I wore it to one show, remember? My first braid I bought. And I put it on, and we're just walking. I mean, I just didn't have no clue about the Sam Kinison thing at the time. But I'm walking through, and people start screaming at me. And they're going, are you the guy on the Howard Stern show? Which is Craig Gass, and he does Sam's voice fantastically. And I'm going, no, I mean, I don't know what they're talking about. So my brother-in-law and I go in the bathroom. And I'm looking in the mirror. I go, dude, I probably could do Sam Kinison. So
do the scream real quick, just so everybody.
Sorry, but
thank you.
So I go home and I start watching all this Sam Kinison shit. I wasn't even like, I was a fan, but not like I didn't like the Jesus joke stuff. But now I understand the Jesus jokes. I do them, but so I go home and I start studying all these tapes. So the first time I go on stage, I figure, you know what? I'm like Sam, I make people laugh at work all the time. Maybe I could do this. So I get on stage and I brought a bunch of people. So therefore the laughter was there. It made me feel good. And then the second time I went on stage, the same place, nobody showed up. I didn't invite nobody. I'm going to try it on my own. I ran out of there. Up through the steps because that comedian sat up on a balcony, ran through the comedians down the other side and out, and I said, I'll never do this again. So, but then someone kept going, dude, you look like him. I think you could do it. You know what I'm saying? You there, Mama T? Hello, this is the Screaming Sam show. How you doing, everybody? Taking over Mama T's show.
I'm here.
And there she is. Okay.
Sorry about
We're
that.
in good shape.
I get messages and I try to swipe them away, and every once in a while my finger
That's
sticks.
Fine. I took over the show for a minute. Yet? That's fine. But anyway, so I started doing more practice
coming up.
What's that?
Did you finish your answer yet?
I can't hear you.
Did you finish your answer yet?
I think I did. Yeah.
Okay. But well, we've got an ad break coming up here from Grand Forks Best Source.
Okay.
They are awesome, and they are. I know they are a video podcast company. They are non-corporate. They are privately owned news source, and
the best.
If you need to advertise your business, or you have a podcast that you want play and do it from your own place, or you want to rent studio time, this is the place to go. Go for it, Jeremy.
Yeah, so
Today's episode is sponsored in part by Grand Forks Best Source. They're a cutting edge local media broadcasting studio with captivating shows, on location event coverage, and unparalleled advertising opportunities. Grand Forks Best Source has become a haven for podcasters like me seeking to bring their visions alive. If you're a podcaster looking for studio or platform, or a local business seeking to advertise, go ahead and email Paul at local@gfbestsource.com. You can call him at 701-740-9337, or you can go to their website that's listed on your screen there, gfbestsource.com. Tell them Mama T sent you.
March on, march on, march on. Hey, march on. We got the soldier on.
I'm not sure, but it almost sounded like it cut off at the end there. Tell them Mama's T sent you. Anyway, so John, as a broadcaster, and I know you brought up a couple of them already. I want people to know how to find you in case they're tuning in halfway through the show. We're probably going to do this again at the very end, but what platforms have you been known on in since you started?
well, Facebook was big for me. I got my own website, screamingsam.com, but I got to update it and everything. And Facebook, I do a lot of stuff on Facebook, and TikTok's like a personal thing, so it's not even about Sam Kinison. But Facebook, I got Screaming Sam Show, I got Screaming Sam Productions, I got Screaming Sam, the Screaming Sam. I got my personals. I don't care. There's I got a Sam Lutz and I got a John Lutz account. And Sam Lutz is more all my Sam stuff, and John Lutz is like my personal. But I do put some Sam stuff on there. But yeah, it's I love Facebook. I don't know why.
I think more. I'm probably talking more about the past stuff, like this here. And
Yeah, that was I don't know if you heard that.
We can't really get into detail on this one because this one is probably not G-rated. It's probably not a clean version, so we can't probably get into details on it. But I do want you to go into detail on stuff like this because you are an awesome human being, and you sent me and Bobby a little package here with the signed autograph, and you look exactly like him, and CDs and DVDs from all the stuff you've done. Can you talk about that for me?
Well, I met how I got to Florida was I met a guy named Tony Blake, and he says he wanted to be my manager, and he's going to get me down in Florida, do all kinds of stuff. So we went to Florida, and it wasn't successful. Everywhere I went, they didn't want the Sam Kinison thing. So I met this other guy, Vincent, Wildman Vince. He was on my show. I met him at a comedy club, and he was all by himself in the back, didn't want to bother anybody. So that's the kind of person I like to deal with. I mean, I love the people who are like that don't want to talk. You know what I mean? So I got to know Vince, and he ends up being very interesting. So we start going around the bars, the biker bars, the strip clubs, and we're doing our gig. I bought a stage. I bought a PA system if I didn't have it. So we were doing these shows, and we were becoming a pretty big hit. So then we got a little group together. I met this guy, Adam, and we had Waterboy and everybody. So we started our own little show. It was called the Screaming Sam Show. Sam Kinison style, supported by the Kinison family, which I'm very close friends with them. Huh?
What was the media for that? Was that just audio, video, podcast?
It was. We had a audio radio show, it's an internet radio show. Which, if you look up Screaming Sam podcast, you can still find the radio shows. And we had the Screaming Sam, the TV show, the internet TV show. And the best part of it, I got interviewed by the local newspaper about my podcast, and Fox News saw it. So they wanted to do an interview about the podcast. And when I told them about the internet TV show, they jumped on that. So we did an interview on that.
You got to find that link and put it. You got to find that link and put it in the comments for this.
Okay, real. I will. I absolutely
because
have
I watched that, and that blew my mind. Like I
love
got
that.
somebody had their own show on cable TV. Like
It boosted me up. That's for sure in Florida. That's for sure. Down in Florida, I was pretty popular. I'll be honest with you. I moved to Ohio. They don't know who the hell I am. They don't know what to think. But but I had so much fun doing that stuff. So when after the Fox News, we started doing like a couple interviews. Like I had, Columbo, the actor
yes,
Columbo.
yep.
His granddaughter was on my show. She was a singer.
Wow.
I had this other singer on my show. Then all of a sudden we start doing the strippers. Then they wanted to get the porn and make the show more interesting, right? And I didn't want to say this on your phone, but it's the truth on your show. But it's the truth. And we started getting too much into that stuff. And that's when I had to separate myself from them. Like we had a porn site.
That was a very triple X rated DVD. It was definitely not something that you would play on family game night.
If they want one, I give one away for free. If they want it, they give me their address.
I know you have plenty of them, and yeah. They can get a hold of me or you and reach for that. But like I said, we are a clean show, so we're not going to talk about how triple X rated that actually was.
Okay, we're not going to get into that.
As much fun as it was. Trust me, if anybody has ever seen me on Renegade Radio, you know how potty mouthed I can get. You know how dirty minded I am.
You let loose. I
was actually only able to get halfway through this DVD. Just that's all I got to say about that.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear it.
I was at the point where like somebody needed to come into your studio with a carpet shampooer.
Okay, we won't talk about that anymore. But anyway, that's how Screaming Sam became famous. So I have to admit, but it got a little too hard for me, so I backed away from the crew.
Well, yeah, when you got a spouse, you got somebody at home. You got to be respectful to them.
And I was respectful.
Yeah,
and I was.
I noticed that.
I was the guy that told everybody, "Get the hell out of my studio. I got a beautiful wife at home, and I'm going home to my wife."
Yep, no.
And that's the way I was. I was professional. I didn't do nothing. You never see me touching anybody, or
yep.
I was always like that.
Absolutely.
And they used to make fun of me about that because I had a lot of opportunities to get lucky, and I wouldn't do it. I try to keep myself family entertainment, folks. Family entertainment.
Yep.
But
as rude and vulgar as Sam Kinison actually was, he was still real.
Yes.
And he was still he still had respect for who he was. He wasn't a sellout. He still had respect for the people he loved and wasn't going to disrespect them in any way. And that's why I believe you are truly the best Sam Kinison tribute artist out there, because you might not just do his jokes. You throw your own stuff in there too, but you're still sticking to his values.
Thank you. Getting back to your program, I did sing in bands, a lot of bands. Like, we'll get into the band thing now. I sang with a lot of bands. I've been in Sturgis, and I met a band in Sturgis, Joe Santana, and you look him up, Joe Santana. He is fantastic. Their band's fantastic. They saw me in the audience in this little bar, and they seen Bill Kinnison, they seen me, and they're like, now, I know that's Bill Kinnison because I've seen him on TV, but I know Sam's dead, and he's sitting right next to Bill. So they invited me up on stage to sing Wild Thing, and I did it. And they said the next night, come the next night, we're going to put you on the big stage with us. So I had an opportunity to sing Wild Thing on a big stage. Bill Kinnison was supposed to be filming it the whole time. He's going like this, and my camera's pointing at the ground, so he missed it. So we were leaving the venue, and people are walking up to me going, and Bill's with me, and they're going, oh my God, we're your biggest fans. Can we have your autograph? Can we have your autograph? And I'm trying to explain to people I'm not Roy Him. And Bill Kinnison says, listen, how big of a fan can these people be if they don't know the guy's dead? He goes, just tell them you're him and sign the autographs.
For real?
And I did that. Yeah. And then I went a little further, grabbed Bill, and go, you want to take a picture of my brother and I?
So, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges of staying in this business? Just being in physical media, like being on podcasts, being on local TV, like access shows, and having
I've
your
been
own
on
shows.
a
Like,
lot of TV down in Florida. I did morning shows. And it's tough, but there's something about me when I see cameras, and I like Thursday nights I go to Pittsburgh for a band. You don't know how bad I want to jump on a stage. When I see a stage, I see a microphone, especially with a band. I would love to go on a stage with these guys, but I don't. But it's you have to be prepared sometimes for the big stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I was on a morning show, and when they saw my custom van in their lot, they asked me if I could drive into the studio with the van. Then when they did a commercial, we turned the van around, and they all jumped in my conversion van with flames, fancy wheels, and we drove out the studio. That's the
I love
stuff.
it.
And I've been on a lot of shows. I mean, here's the thing. I have my producer on the Scream and Sam show, I guess is mad at me or something, but he took everything I had off of YouTube. I have nothing on YouTube. If you used to be able to Google Scream and Sam, made me see all my interviews, see the shows I did, and he controlled it, which that's why I hate people controlling my stuff. And it took everything off the internet. Now I'm going
Well,
to
you
put some
just
new
need to.
stuff on. I'm looking for
You
someone.
know what you need to do. You need to contact my producer because he's amazing, and look what he's done for me. Look at, I mean, this
I'd love to.
this is so brand new. What we're doing right now is so brand new, and our first season, was with little Bobby, like supported by little Bobby, and we were promoting him and the bar and everything. And going into season 2, I was like, so now there has to be a change, and he was right in there. He came down here, he scooped me up, and we went out and we did a bunch of video shoots, and now you see what the opening, the intro is now, right?
I think you're a
Even the
professional, and it's
ads, like,
fantastic.
right. So, tell you what,
I
this
think your
guy's
whole
expensive
setup,
though. I'm going to
your
tell you
whole
right now, this guy's expensive, and he's worth every freaking cent.
right,
Anybody wants a look like this, anybody wants a look any way they want it, you gotta, I will. Hey Jeremy,
100%.
why don't you put your info up on the screen there real quick, since I'm
But what?
plugging you. I was telling that, because
Oh.
if I yelled out the Screamin' Sam show, yada yada, youtube.com, whatever, that would go up on the screen right now, because that's how
Right.
good he is. But he's so, there we go. See, good job.
He is good.
You see, he can. He's got a pretty heavy workload. Yes, I will mention that. But the more he gets paid, the more attention he pays. And guess what? This is pristine. And I can tell you that I am not paying him what he deserves.
Right.
Contact him. You need a producer. You need somebody in charge of your stuff that you can trust. This is the guy for you.
Okay.
So
I'll keep that in mind.
now I'm going to stop plugging my producer because I do it every show. Jeremy, love you. Let's go on with the show.
Jeremy.
Yeah, right. So tell me about a time where you got to oh, you know what? You never actually told me about what you did before you got into the media, because I was talking about some other things I had that could fit in here, only I wanted a bigger container.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that time in your life?
The time before I did Sam.
Yes.
Like I said, I was working. I worked, with the bar and all my businesses. I started 7 o'clock in the morning. First thing to do is go to a restaurant. All my crew would be there. I'd buy everybody breakfast. Then I'd work all day down the garage. Then I'd go up the bar and do stuff up the restaurant. And I actually worked every day from 7 o'clock in the morning till like 3 in the morning, because I would close the bar. And I was a hustler. I worked my ass off, and that's how I got successful in businesses. I was an entrepreneur that I did everything.
Weren't you and your brother into some kind of burial stuff or something?
My brother is in the burial business. Mad dog, good kid, and he took his job serious too, man.
But
He called me up
you
crying
did that
about
with
little
him.
kids, huh?
You did that with him for a while, for some time.
No, I never did it. That was actually that Keith or that the guy was your. Oh my god, my memory just left.
It's okay.
That was
It's
another
okay.
guy I
It's
worked
okay
for.
because you know what? I got a really special question somewhere here because we only got 3 minutes left of the show. I don't know how the heck I managed to. You're a good talker. I had a question here. I was going to ask you. Oh, tell me again about the different shows you had. Tell me. I want to know about your favorite guests and why they were your favorite guests and how that show went.
On my Screaming Sam show?
On any of them. Anytime you had a guest. Who was
I'll
your
be honest
favorite?
with you. You know him?
3 minutes.
Oh, 3?
Okay,
But you
2.5
know the
now.
one real good?
Yeah.
And it has to be Bill Kinnison. That's my number one guest. Plus, he was a part of our show for a while. The second
he
guest
do for
I
a
thought was
living?
pretty cool was Richard Pryor Jr.
Really?
You know Waterboy? You know Waterboy was on our show?
Yeah.
He claimed he could do Richard Pryor's voice, and it was absolutely terrible. While I invited Richard Pryor Jr. to be a judge and Bill Kinnison, and it turned out to be a disaster. And then Richard Pryor's son goes, "My dad's rolling over in his grave." It was a fantastic show, and he made it great. And then I had another person who passed away. God bless her. And he did his female act. His female act, and it was Sister Bertha Bangers, and that was the. And I'm sorry, there's more, but I got the guy who was on the Howard Stern show, speech impediment man. He was always a great guest.
Right.
He joined us all the time. So we had some good people on there. I mean, through Bill Kinnison, Pauly Shore was on there. Everybody.
You had Pauly Shore?
I did a show. Matter of fact, I don't know, 3 years ago. If you look it up on YouTube,
Oh my God!
I actually did a podcast with Pauly Shore.
Oh my God!
I did a podcast with Pauly Shore. It was great. It was great. I mean, you have to look it up.
So, if you had to do a 20-second ad for Renegade Radio, what would you say?
Listen, folks, you don't know what you're missing if you're not watching listening to Renegade Radio or watching it, because it's the best out there right now. Next to Momma T's, they're both the same.
Not both the same. Come on now.
Huh?
This not both the same. Well,
not the same, but
in levels of awesomeness, yes, of course. Because
but you have to, hey, Momma T, think about this. When we first started Renegade Radio, Sean was a little shy about edginess. Now he's right up there with us. He's right up there, which I love, because you need to be edgy sometimes.
Yep.
If I did a show with the Screaming Sam guys, we'd probably get thrown out everywhere. And I love that stuff.
Well, I think we're coming to the end here. Thanks for filling in last minute. I knew one of you guys would. I mean, this was the Renegade Radio Takeover show.
Right.
And I love all my guests on this show.
We love you.
Some of them are crossovers. Some of them that watch this show because of Renegade Radio. Some of them watch Renegade Radio because they've seen this one. And some of the people that watch either show only have seen it now because of Grand Forks Best Source. Thank you, Grand Forks Best Source.
Thank you.
Look at that. Oh, yes. Oh, our next Renegade Radio show, I almost forgot. We are going to be interviewing Tracy J. Morgan, and she is an awesome author from the UK, and she wrote a book about John Candy. And I know we have another guest on that show that night too. I can't put my finger on who it was, but you guys got to tune in tomorrow night. Surprise! It'll be amazing. So, Sam, you want to take it away for Renegade Radio for tomorrow night?
Yeah, watch Renegade Radio tomorrow at I get the times messed up. It's 5:30 your time, 6:30 my time. Watch it tomorrow because it's going to be a blast. And of course, Mama T will be there.
And so will Screaming Sam and my first guest, Frankie Slauson.
And I love
Thank you
Frankie. I
all
love
for-
everybody on the show. I love them all.
Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Thanks for coming back for another show. Or if you're a first time viewer, thanks for watching to the end. You got to
Fantastic.
watch Renegade Radio. You've got to watch The Buzz with Mama T. And you got to tune in to Grand Forks Best Stores. Talk to y'all later.
Yeah, I want a bad girl.